Violent clashes between black and white students at the University of the Free State last week have once more brought the challenge of racism under the spotlight in SA. The violence resulted in some students leaving campus and the suspension of classes. The university has since sent messages to students to resume classes today. President and spokesperson for the SRC, Ntuli, joins us here, or not joins us in studio, but he joins us here on the program. He's in our Bloemfontein studios just to talk a little bit more about this. Ntuli, thank you very much for being with us and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, madam.
Let's just get straight to, I suppose, the issues that are bugging you right now and what's lying at the heart of all of this. What is the problem at the institution?
The problem is the institutional culture. The problem is institutional symbolism. The problem is the exclusion of the majority of the students. You know that the University of the Free State is a historically white Afrikaner university. And the University of the Free State in 2016 is not so different than the University of the Free State in 1997, particularly because it still approaches and sells its image as if it's a white Afrikaner university, even when the demographics of the campus have changed. We have a very big racial problem on campus. We cannot run away from that. And hence we need to stand up against the system, and hence we need to stand up against violence, and hence we need to stand up against division. What we want more than anything else is for a system that will be inclusive for all, regardless of our races, regardless of where we come from. The institutions of higher learning are not islands. They exist within the broader South African society, and that society is regulated by the Supreme Constitution. One of the most important imperatives of the Constitution is to give institutions of higher learning an obligation to fulfill the obligations imposed by the Constitution. So that is to promote equality, that is to promote democracy, and that is to promote freedom. And we have not been seeing that at the University of the Free State. It is still very much divisive in policy, in its culture, and also symbols.
All right,
that is our current problem.
Let's go back to the beginning, and I'm not saying it's the beginning of your frustration, because obviously this has been a long time coming. But let's just go back to the incident of what happened for the storming of the rugby field of the game. A lot of people felt that this was a provocation, and that it was almost inevitable that it was going to end the way it did. What are your views? I mean, how do you defend yourself in this regard?
I would not view it as a provocation as such. I would view it as the only way in which the workers and the students would try to get their voices heard by management that has been disengaging themselves. The management of the university had deactivated the access cards of the workers. The management of the university had shut down the gates for the workers. They could not come, and instituted an interdict against them, regardless of the peaceful protests that had been going on since last week. So it was an act of bad faith from management. So the act of marching to the sports field, it was not per se to instigate any form of violence and attacks against the white students. It was to get the university's attention, because we had also sent them a letter of demanding them to engage with the workers and also to reinstate the students that were victimized by Professor Jonathan Jansen, and they refused to engage with us. So we had to take matters into our own hands. And when we went there singing. We held hands and went inside the sports field and sang Solomon Mahlangu. And that is when the white students and their parents got up from the stands and started attacking the workers and the students. You would find crazy situations where an old lady who's a cleaner at the university was being kicked like a dog by white students. We got off the field, and shortly after that, Professor Jonathan Jansen was there, and they continued with the match as if nothing had happened. Now, this is a problem because this is the university that is known for healing South Africa. But how do you continue with the rugby match after what has happened? What do you prioritize? The interest of your students or a rugby match? And this is what the University of the Free State has shown us. They will do anything to protect white supremacy, regardless of what it will take from the disadvantaged group. They will do anything to protect white interests at the expense of the majority, the black workers and the students, simply because the reason why we're attacked and the reason why the rugby match continue, Professor Jonathan Jansen and the majority of the white students do not understand what it means to get paid 2,000 rand a month as a worker and to have to feed a family of 6. They do not understand what it means to take 1,000 rand of that 2,000 rand for transport purposes, and they do not understand what it means for you to go to a loan shark, to ask for more money simply because you cannot afford a basic living. Now, without understanding what are the concerns of the workers and the students, you will always view them as disruptors who are there to disrupt and cause chaos.
But again,
there is
do you believe that resorting to violence, resorting to chaos, resorting to destroying a lot of symbols at the university, causing the campus to shut down, getting a lot of the students to actually have to leave the campus, to get students to stop studying because lectures cannot possibly continue under this environment, do you really think this is the right way to go? And you don't think that actually engaging in decent dialogue is the way to go?
Okay, first, there is no student leader. There is no leader at all who calls himself a leader that can find pleasure in violence, that can find pleasure in the burning of the university's property, that can find pleasure in racial divisions on campus. We are not fighting against white students. We are fighting against the oppressive system. We have seen this also in the past with the rates incident at the University of the Free State. We've seen this in the past with the Damani Gwebu case where a black student was brutally assaulted by 2 white students. And we cannot leave this one stone to be unturned. We have to deal with the system accordingly. In 30 years' time, our children will be in this university. And we want them not to be oppressed by the same system that oppressed us. Our purpose is to ensure that there is an inclusive institutional culture and there is inclusive institutional symbolism. We are fighting for inclusivity. We are fighting for the recognition of a black person and the respect of a black person to be put on the same footing as a white person. Otherwise, we do not want to cause chaos. And hence today we have made a decision that we will allow classes to continue, but also in the same vein, the struggle continues because we cannot forget and we cannot put under the carpet what has happened. We will deal effectively with what has happened on Monday. The SRC has established a commission, a transformation commission. It includes 3 SRC members.
Who will look into the violence that erupted on the campus. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave it there, Ntuli. But I mean, I think we've gotten to grips of your views, your feelings, what is going on at the campus and what the SRC is feeling right now. Of course, Ntuli is the president and spokesperson for the SRC. But I think the right thing to do as well is to invite Professor Jonathan Jansen to get his views as well, to find there's always 2 sides to every single story. So we certainly do need to get his response to some of the accusations that have been leveled against him here on the program.